Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
What is up, everybody? We are here with the very final episode breakdown for Stranger Things. It is season 5. It is episode 8, chapter 8, The Rightside Up. It's the finale, and we've already done one of these. So we're on the second half.
Yes.
It's the back 9. We are here at the end of Stranger Things.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time with this. After I finished this episode, which was before our last recording, but I didn't mention it at that point, just the deep sadness I feel at the end of a series, watching it through, and it's like, man, I was already thinking about like next week's recordings and what we're gonna do, and I know we are gonna like talk more about Stranger Things after this episode, but it's hard to believe that we have made it all the way through this rewatch, and a lot goes on in this second part of the finale. I mean, a lot happened in the first part, but this half is it's wild, because not only do we have the epic, well, what I consider to be epic final fight scene, but then also we have this like really like touching epilogue. I feel like the end of this episode, which really wrapped a lot of the storylines up, it was I thought it was satisfying. So I'm just gonna lead with that. I don't know, but yeah, just sad that it's over. You know,
it's crazy that we've gone through it all again. And I want to say so quickly, but obviously this did not go quickly. Like we've done this for a few months now. But it feels like it's gone quick, and we're here at the end, and I'm looking forward to not just this last episode and hearing what you have to think about some of these things, but also the next episode or two that we do here, which will be just absolute like Stranger Things fallout. Some of the stuff that you see on social media, maybe there's some like tier listing of things, maybe we see some just general reaction to, now that we're well past the fallout, what did other people say after Stranger Things wrapped, and how do we feel about those things as we end it now? So I'm really looking forward to doing those, and then of course we'll be off on another show doing something else.
That's right. And if anyone has any recommendations, I know Eric and I have some ideas floating around, but if anyone has any suggestions of things that they would love to hear us talk about, please shoot them our way. You can send us an email. We run on reruns@gmail.com. You could send us a message on any one of the platforms where you listen. So we look forward to hearing feedback, but as a reminder of where we left things off, at the end of the first part of the finale, we had the gang all hightailing it. Well, I guess the bigger part of the gang,
yes,
hightailing it to Vecna's lair, that hand-looking thing that ends up turning into the Mind Flayer. We also have Henry in the mine shaft, where he is encountering his own memory of himself as a little boy getting shot through the hand and then opening up this mysterious briefcase. And we also saw Eleven and Hopper on the roof of the Department of Energy in the Upside Down with Murray, and they were having a conversation about, you know, 11 is really just telling him, listen, you need to trust me to do what's right here, to make my, you know, the correct decisions for myself. She gave him Sarah's bracelet back, and she's planning on hopping up those boulders floating into the sky so that she can defeat Vecna one-on-one. So that's where we left things, and we're going to jump right back into it.
And with that, we are opening on Henry being in that mine shaft, opening the briefcase, this kind of new mystery that's only shown itself here in the last few episodes, where again, they introduced this new concept of like, hey, he's holding on to this briefcase. It's something that Vecna's terrified of. What is it? Or that Henry's terrified of? And it turns out to be this stone that's just glowing. And Henry picks it up and he holds it into his hand. This is all part of a flashback. And we're seeing it absorb into him with then this super fast motion that leads us to the storm that is the Mind Flayer saying, "Find me." And as he's ripped back to his normal self, the child that is Henry, he's looking at this older gentleman who has shot him in the hand already, and he's saying, "You must resist it. It will consume you." And now Will steps in, because Will is watching this whole thing transpire within Henry. And Will, attached to the hive, is saying, "It wasn't you. You were just a kid like me. Don't let it win." And Henry is, for a moment, maybe thinking about it, but ultimately shakes it off and is saying, "No, it showed me the truth. It showed me that this world is broken, that man is broken. And you have it wrong. It has never controlled me, and I have never controlled it. Don't you see, William? I chose to join it." And as we're seeing this, or as we're listening to this conversation between Will and Henry, that skeletal hand is slowly lowering down its fingers. That's what I've been calling it. And you're recognizing, oh man, it's not like a static hive. This is the Mind Flayer. It is the Mind Flayer as it is now rising up into that spider-like creature that we've known it to be. Henry is following this by saying, "It needs me and I need it. We are one." And at this moment, the gang, who has been, as Amanda said, was hightailing it towards the hive, has quickly stopped and is now hightailing it the other direction. It's like, oh man, didn't see that coming. Time to go. And we get this moment where Dustin is tripping over his own feet, running away, and it looks like the Mind Flayer is about to step with one of its spiked like tentacles right into Dustin, and Lucas, out of nowhere, with some of his athletic maneuvers, I suppose, dives in front and pulls Dustin away. And yet, the gang is kind of trapped. They're backed up, and there's not a lot of places they can go, and they don't have a whole lot to move with, when all of a sudden, this huge boulder out of absolutely nowhere smashes the Mind Flayer in the face. And the gang starts to run again, and it turns, and everyone sees a little tiny 11 standing by itself, one-on-one with the Mind Flayer. And Mike looks over and recognizes that it's her. And we see 11 full sprint, instead of running away, running right towards the Mind Flayer, and jumps in one of those super 11 jumps that she does right towards its mouth. And as the Mind Flayer is opening its jaw, 11 takes her hands and slices them side to side, only to rip a hole right through the Mind Flayer's chest, and she lands into that like sand area that is in the midst of all the children, and she just rips Henry down from the Mind Flayer. And now we are having our 11 versus Vecna moment inside the Mind Flayer. I'll pause here. Amanda, any thoughts so far?
So, yeah, this is just such a great scene. I love that she, like, tore through, like, the throat, I guess, of this thing. And also, I mean, the odds of her just landing exactly where Henry was, I'm like, well, that's just... I'm glad that worked out. It just was hard for me to, I think, get my mind around where exactly she was inside the Mind Flayer. Like, I struggled with a little bit, like, as she's fighting Vecna in this upcoming scene, and like the Mind Flayer is still like running around, and there's like explosions going on. It seems like relatively stable wherever 11 landed, like where all those kids
like,
are and Vecna is, right?
It
just seemed like they weren't like being knocked around, or I don't know.
To me, I like equated it to like the stomach, you know, just like a big open area inside this thing. But that being said, this is not human anatomy. You know, this is a Mind Flayer. We don't know the anatomy of a Mind Flayer. I will say I find it very interesting that there's like a sand bottom to this thing. That didn't seem really appropriate, but to each their own.
I mean, yeah, again, that's it. Just seemed, again, it was just like I think the fact that she was able to stay upright, and it wasn't like as this thing moved around, like she wasn't being knocked from side to side. So you almost forget that she was in this thing as the battle's going on, you know? But before that, I also wanted to mention a part that I really liked was when we saw young Henry with the guy with the briefcase.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, it will consume you. And just then, you realize all along it's been the Mind Flayer that's using Henry to kill the man, because you see then like the first time that it used him, it like took out the guy's eyes, like the guy with the briefcase, his eyes just went black, and you could tell it scared Henry. Like he was like, what just happened? Like this came through him. It wasn't something that he like did intentionally, right?
No,
like,
that's true.
Used him. Yeah.
I didn't mention that because I was so focused on the Will and Henry discussion that's going on.
Yeah.
But that is true. And I will say, to me, this is all laid out by Dustin over a season ago. That the Mind Flayer is in control.
Yes,
Vecna is the
right.
5-star general. Right. And the Demogorgons and stuff are Vecna's like foot soldiers in this whole thing. So
I think what was unique about this, though, is that we didn't quite look at it as like Vecna was used just as Vecna has used Will, right? Like it's kind of like the cycle of that abuse has kind of continued, right? Like it just like he was just a boy and he was used by the Mind Flayer, and then Vecna went on to use Will in the same way.
Vecna's using Will, but if Vecna's not really in control of himself, then really the Mind Flayer is using Will through Vecna. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, but Vecna, I do like though that they've made the choice to make sure that Vecna is making that choice to remain evil.
I like that too.
He had this opportunity to like go on to like become good and like see the light, and it's like that would have taken a very different turn. So I mean, we did not go there.
It wouldn't have been that difficult to explain, to be honest, but I'm glad they chose not to do that. I'm glad they said no, we're gonna let our bad guy be a bad guy. They opened the door to walk through, and Vecna chose to not. And I think that is important. I'm glad they had that moment, though. I feel like that was a really important moment. And it was definitely something that a lot of fans were asking, like, is it Vecna? Is it the Mind Flayer? And so they laid it all out again one more time and showed that it is the Mind Flayer, but Henry is choosing to side with the Mind Flayer. So we have that. So as we're now in this battle transpiring inside of the Mind Flayer, the gang is trying to come up with a plan because 11 is having this fight one-on-one. And they realize, okay, well, what can we do? How do we damage this thing? How do we help at all? And it's funny because they come up with like video game / D&D terminology here. They're saying, well, we need to chip away at its hit points, which I thought was funny. And they go, okay, well, how are we going to do that? Well, the best way to do that would be to surround it, get around it from a lot of different angles, take it all out from a lot of different sides, but we have to move it so that it's in a spot that we can do better at. Where can we move it to? And they find this like crevice in the wall And they realize, well, one of us can go and be the bait and essentially lead this thing towards that. And the rest of us can get on top of this mountain and rain down from above. Nancy volunteers to be the bait. And so she goes out there as we continue to get scenes of Vecna and 11 fighting, doing their thing. The gang takes off as Nancy starts machine gunning in. Like, she is just walking at this thing, sending off rounds of shotgun bullets, doing whatever it is that she needs to do just to get this thing's attention. I think she's got like an assault rifle at this point, just laying into it.
She's a perfect cross between like Rambo and Sigourney Weaver from Alien. Like, she's like just looks, with the curly hair and the guns.
Absolutely.
It's great.
So we see Nancy does get the Mind Flayer's attention. And as we're zooming back inside the Mind Flayer and watching 11 and Vecna fight back and forth, the Mind Flayer is starting to walk towards Nancy and start tracking Nancy. So she is starting to hightail it towards this crevice. And very quickly, she reaches this area and is backed all the way up against the wall, only for the Mind Flayer to literally start pushing through the wall. And it is right up to her when all of a sudden, everything starts raining down on the Mind Flayer from above. Flamethrowers, Molotovs. Lucas has got his slingshot going. Mike is using the flare onto whatever it is that Lucas is slingshotting to like make extra explosives. Steve and Dustin are now under with these weapons that they used to fight the bats off, that Dustin and Eddie had used to fight the bats off. And they're under the Mind Flayer, just jabbing it from below, weakening.
I would not want it to be under there.
No,
that was some nasty work. I don't know what that was, but
that is not a place to be. I wouldn't want it to come down on it. But they're underneath, and as they are weakening the Mind Flayer, they are weakening Vecna. And Elle is now holding Vecna. And as Vecna reaches out for Elle, Will steps into the fold as the sorcerer that he is, and is able to hold back Vecna from fully reaching 11. And he's saying, we're not afraid anymore. We are not afraid of you. And Elle blasts Vecna back, and he lands on this spike inside the Mind Flayer, only for the Mind Flayer to then fall, being burnt to a crisp. And we get this close-up of what I assume to be the heart of the Mind Flayer, beating, stopping, turning black.
Yeah.
And as the Mind Flayer falls down, burnt to a crisp, Nancy is the first out of her crevice and into the Mind Flayer to see Elle. The two of them meet, only for Nancy to recognize that Holly is in here and is strapped up to the side. So while she frees her, Holly's able to cough out the smoke. She's recognizing that it's actually Nancy. Mike is now coming in with the rest of the kids, and the Wheelers are having their moment together. Finally, the three kids united again. We then see this sequence where all of the kids are now being brought down, where Steve, funnily, is freeing Derek, and Derek hugs Steve, and Steve kind of has this moment where I think he's like, yeah, this is what I'm in this for. Like, I'm really pumped about this. And he's like, yeah, I'm glad we could help. Only to recognize that Vecna is still coughing on this spike. Kind of coughing up blood. He's not in good shape, but he's not dead yet. And this is when Joyce, camera shifts to Joyce, makes her way in. And
Yes.
you kind of get this flashback with Joyce where she is seeing moments from season 1 with Will, with the Christmas lights, with everything that she's been through. And she says,
With Bob.
Yeah, with Bob, with all of it. And she's saying, you fucked with the wrong family. And takes the axe right to Vecna's throat. And with every chop of Vecna, you get a flash with Dustin and with Lucas and with Max and with 11 as they're all experiencing all of the things that they have dealt with this threat, and recognizing that we are at the end. And just as they're doing this, Joyce hits the last axe blow. Vecna's head literally rolls to the ground, and everyone is just staring for Elle then to take a deep breath for the first time, feeling like she's done it, like it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were so many things to love about this scene. I love seeing Will and Elle together, like pushing Vecna back onto that. I was calling it a tooth. To me, it looked like a giant tooth inside it's like,
I wrote it as Spike. It's basic. I mean, I almost said spire.
It almost looks like,
Yeah. It's just this. It does look like a tooth or a fang of sorts.
Yeah.
On top of like a pedestal.
Yeah, it's weird because there is like really strange anatomy happening inside of this thing. It's like there's kind of a jaw, sort of, to like be fair, walls that almost look like ribs. This heart-looking thing. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm still going to stand on the idea that Henry created the Mind Flayer to look the way that he felt would be most comfortable. Now, I know when we had this discussion many seasons back, you were making the argument that there's something in the play that says something about how that might not exactly be totally true. I don't care. I'm not using the play. I don't care about the play.
So, yeah. Well, I'm not sure about the physical manifestation, like how it appears in the play, because I honestly haven't seen it either, but I just know that there is more of like Henry's backstory. But I do agree, I mean, he was the one drawing it out. Now, was he drawing it out in the same way that we saw Will drawing the Mind Flayer without actually seeing it? You know what I mean? It's like they just somehow were attached to it once he was infected with whatever was in that briefcase. It's like in the same way Will like just knew about it before he even saw it. You know what I mean? Like it was part of him, and so he was having these visions even though he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. But I love that, like, we're not afraid of you, and like pushing him back onto this thing, and then like having just everyone come together. Loved having Joyce. First of all, we haven't really seen her in this finale yet. And second of all, having her be the one to swing this axe is just really satisfying. I was like,
okay,
yes,
so that was a question I was going to ask you. So you are a fan of Joyce being the one to like lay the final blow.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of my favorite parts of the finale, is this moment with Joyce, because she has been through it. She deserved to take that final swing, especially because she really wasn't in the fight scene. So it really, like, I felt like closed it, like it brought them all together. Because that's also what I loved about this fight scene, is they were all involved, right? Except Joyce. Like she was there, but she really wasn't. Yeah, so that was her.
She was making sure Will was okay, as she tends to do.
Exactly. So, and it's just like, man, she has been through it from the very, very start. So I just love this. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm fine with Joyce laying the final blow. I don't know who else I would rather have do it, though. I'm coming to this saying it's not my favorite choice without having a better suggestion. Like, I think ultimately I would have liked to have seen it be Will. But
So
I
the
don't.
reason I think. Oh, sorry. Go. You finished.
No, I was going to say, and the reason I go with that is because I don't need Joyce to help Will out one more time. Like, let Will be the one to handle his business on that last moment. Like, 11, put it down. Will's the one who invited him back in. He didn't take it. It is now Will's time to end his own personal suffering. I think I would have liked to have seen that. Now, it didn't have to come with an axe. Will would have had to have, used his powers. But I do not mind this. I don't mind this. But I know there's debate about it. I can totally
see that. No, I think the reason why I'm okay, I prefer Joyce, because I feel like Will already had that moment where he was saying, "We are not afraid of you," and used all his power, remotely.
He had to have that moment.
And he then took control. To me, that was satisfying. And he had also just encountered him prior to that as well. So I just felt like Joyce, man, it's
Joyce isn't doing anything.
She as the and it's as the mother looking on to your kid just being taken away from you and then tortured, and she has never had the opportunity to come face to face with this villain who is just torn apart her life, just destroyed so many things, made her move, they had to uproot everything at one point. It's just been wild. So I just felt like she had never had an opportunity to release that anger directly on Vecna. And I just love that for her.
She definitely did not have that opportunity. There was no other opportunity. In fact, I won't be surprised, and I don't know this for a fact. I'm trying to think really quickly. Is this the first scene that they were in the same spot at the same time? It might be.
Yes.
Did they ever act in the same room together, or did they meet each other at the finale?
I had the same thought with Hopper in the first part of the finale, where he was having the visions of Vecna, even though he wasn't actually there.
Right.
But I'm this is the first time that Hopper and Vecna have been in the same space. So yeah,
I liked that a lot more because you have Vecna tapping into Hopper, which was a thing that was new. That was totally not a new, not something we had seen before. Didn't know that was a thing that could happen, but he was there. Mm-hmm. He was, and then Hopper got to know firsthand what it was like.
Yeah. The only other thought I had with this scene is, that just immediately came to mind as I'm watching this is how differently this would have landed if he was in Henry's form and not Vecna's. I'm I don't think we could have had Joyce swinging the axe and cutting his head off if he wasn't in Vecna form.
Oh, 100%. No.
Right?
No, it would they'd probably just leave him there and be like, listen, he's gonna die. And then it's wait a minute, guys. No, we gotta do something.
Somebody needs to maybe put a bullet in his temple or something, but not something quite so grotesque. I feel like you were able to get away with that because he's essentially all these vines and roots, and it just is.
So I know the Duffer Brothers mentioned at one point that the most grotesque death took place in this season. Do you believe this was it?
I
really don't think it was.
I think I'm trying to think of what it would be, because this to me, again, because he wasn't in human form, I would almost argue that young Henry killing the guy with the rock was even more grotesque and disturbing on some levels than this.
I still think the one that gets me is in Sorcerer, the 4th episode, when Vecna is making his first appearance, and you have like the police officer crawling on the ground, and you just see like hand come through eye sockets and mouth, killing him.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
that's
yeah, that one
brutal.
was pretty bad.
And it's also out of nowhere. Like, you're not ready for it when it happens.
No.
I think that
right.
one's pretty bad. This is, without question, the most emotional death. This is the most, like, oh my God. Like, it's done. We've done it.
Yeah.
This is the most, I don't want to say satisfying, because it's not satisfying, because at this point, I feel like everybody's
kind of... I could argue that.
Well, I feel like everybody feels a little bit for Henry by the time we get to here, you know, and even though he's chosen to go down this road on his own, you still feel bad for him a little bit. Like, I don't know.
I'm not there.
Right.
The reason I'm not there is because yeah, I get like I could see that argument being made, but like this is the reason why I'm glad that they did not say, oh, he's chosen to be good, because we just saw this really quick like rundown of, hey, these are the ways that this monster has tortured us for the past 10 years, you know what I mean? Or whatever the timeline is for the show, you know.
Imagine how cool it would have been though if, you know, Henry just joined the D&D party.
Oh my God, that would have been hilarious. That sounds like a good SNL episode, though. Like Vecna and Vecna Form is like sitting around the table, like, hey guys.
I can only imagine. Like I said, in season 2, could you imagine if like they did this and all of a sudden just flashed back to Kali in the van with 11 when 11 was about ready to head home and be like, this is what is in your future. Is this what you want to do? And it's like, oh my God, what?
I know. And as much as we'll get into this more like next episode, but it's like, as much as people give this a hard time, like the finale, everyone's always going to be critical. You know, you're going to have a lot of people picking things apart, but I don't know.
Nobody
I feel like
finales.
They could have like,
nobody likes finales.
But they could have gone off the deep end in so many different horrible ways that like there's a lot that I'm like, you know what, this is fine, this is good, I liked it overall.
Well, at this moment we all feel like we're out of the darkness here. Well, but let's jump into this next part.
Yeah, because then we have Dustin telling Hopper over the walkie that they are back in the Upside Down and everyone is okay. And he confirms that, yes, the whole party is okay, including 11. So they agree to ditch this hellscape once and for all. And Murray sets off the timers with the record going. I love that they incorporate Prince when doves cry into this moment. We have a couple Prince songs in the second part of the finale here. And it just is like really nicely, it fits the moment nicely, I felt
It does.
Yeah, and so then we see Steve driving the kids out of the Upside Down. Murray, classic Murray style, is like pulling out in front of them, cutting them off. And then there's just this kind of like funny Derek moment where he's staring, waving at Mike in the back of the truck, clearly admiring him. And Mike is just like, oh, okay, like realizing like he's kind of like the cooler older kid now, you know, and Derek is like, hey, big bro, you know, like I think at one point, remember, Derek called him like his new best friend too. So,
he did. That's what he said to Holly. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. So then we see as they pass through the gate, though, their tires all blow out because they have the military has set up spikes for them outside of the gate, which I thought it was interesting that there was really no mention of like, what are we gonna do when we pass back through this gate? Like, we should probably prepare for like a military encounter, you know what I mean? Like, there was really none of that.
There was not really an escape plan. Like, we figured that out on the flip side.
Right, like, let's just survive this, guys, and then we'll drive back through.
Well, I genuinely think that's part of it. Like, I don't know how much they all actually expected to survive it. So let's not worry about the escape plan. Let's just try to make it out alive first.
Yeah. So, they're coming through. And of course, though, the military, they're all looking for 11. And because they're all outside of the van now and the truck. And the military is like searching for 11, not finding her. Even Mike is looking around. He's lost track of her. And Dustin is saying she must have escaped. And then they look and they all see her in the gate. She has ran back through and is now on the other side of the gate. And remember, Murray has already set the wheels in motion to have everything explode, to destroy the bridge. So Mike starts trying to run toward Elle, but she then is able to, I guess, physically stop him by putting him in that black space. So we haven't seen this before, this type of, I guess we sort of saw it with Max, where she was able to connect with her in the black space. But this was a little bit different, I felt like.
11 is able to jump into her own mind space within reason, right? Like usually we see her with a blindfold or some white noise or something. And in this scenario, she doesn't have any of this. But at the same time, a lot of those times, she's also trying to find somebody at a distance. And this person is right here. And so I think I am able to, say, this is a lot easier for her to do. She doesn't need all of these extra components because she's not trying to find Mike across town with Max, or trying to find Vecna in another dimension, or trying to find the boys states away. She's trying to find that person right there that she can see with her eyes. And I think that's easier for her to do since she can see where they are.
And but I was also thinking,
I don't know how accurate that is. That's just how I can justify it.
I can get on board with that, but then I'm also thinking though, because they don't show what Mike's body looked like during this period, and it's like, was he in like the fluttery eyes, like trance state? Did he fall to the ground? Like I kind of wish they showed that really quick, like, oh, like Mike fell and like they're all surrounding him as he's like, in a like weird trance state, but they didn't show any of that. So it was
no, it's like what is different is it's like when they went into this black space, time stopped, and that is not accurate to any of the other stuff that we've seen before. Because even if 11 was in her trance state, they would have just run up and grabbed her. But they listen. I'm okay.
This allowed them.
I'm not arguing about this spot.
I'm allowing this because
I'm allowing it too.
Well, because I have no choice, but also I'm allowing it because in my mind I'm like, listen, I wanted to have this last conversation between Mike and Elle. Like, we need to have this.
Absolutely.
Like, that would have not been cool at all if this didn't happen, right? So
there are components I might argue about. This is not one.
Yeah. So
I will find a way to justify it.
11 is telling him, none of this will end while I'm here. She's telling him to talk to the others and thank them for me, for teaching me what it means to be a friend. And please help them understand my choice. One day you'll understand too, and she's telling him, you understand me better than anyone ever has. And you just get this really nice flashback to like their whole love story, to everything that happened from when they when they met for the very first time, all the way through to just recently. And just
it's crazy too, because the
kids bond that they've had.
The kids look like they're 6 years old in that first clip.
It is like crazy to think back. I'm like, every time, like, this is now, I've rewatched this a couple times. I mean, this is only my second time seeing this last season, but it's like, it's so easy to forget just how little itty bitty they were when this whole series started. It's crazy. So yeah, we just have this really, really heartbreaking moment, you know, where she's reminding him of everything that he's given her and everything special that they've had together. And he is just crying, saying, you know, please don't leave me, Elle. And she says that she will always be with him and she loves him, and they kiss. And then this is when we get another Prince song, Purple Rain. And she says goodbye. And oh my gosh, I'm getting choked up just talking about it, because it was just so, like, it was just such a wonderful scene between the two of them. And you really just see, like, how deeply they cared for each other and care for each other. And, you know, and Mike is just, I thought his performance here was awesome. You know, he's screaming for Elle. They're all screaming for Elle then, you know, the camera, because then he's out of the black space and they're just watching her, like, still in the gate. And you just see this crazy emotional reaction from everyone in the group that's watching this, because they understand what's going down in this moment. And you see then this massive explosion, and Elle closes her eyes and just vanishes into the explosion. And then you just get this complete silence, and the gate is just gone. And it's just this hole in the side of the public library, and everyone is quiet, staring, and the screen just goes black.
You get one last look at Mike with a single tear coming down.
Single tear,
which is something.
It was kind of.
I'm impressed they could do it, but I will say, you know, Mike and Elle, their performance here was awesome. I equate it on a very similar way to Lucas and Max when Max came back for the first time. Like, there were a lot of amazing performances in this final season. The biggest issue that I will have, and if you're going to ask me to complain about this at all, it's that we're about to go into 18 months later. And if you're going to tell me that this whole group of people gets to exit the gate, 11 stays and dies, and they just go, it's okay. Go ahead about your business, kids. Like, what?
What?
No chance. No chance is the military just letting them all walk. Like, that's not real.
It makes, like, what? Where did Dr. K? Was she just like, oh, well, like, threw her gun down and just ran off? Like, what?
Guess they're all gone. The blood's gone. We don't have any of them anymore. Like, so be it.
11 just killed off, like, a bunch of her troops. Like, there's all these dead bodies on the other side. Like, it's like, no, it's fine. Like, no one has to pay for that. Like, no big deal. Like, we're not even gonna, I don't know if it's because, like, she had no way, like, then she would have to explain her own mission. I don't know, but I wish they'd at least touched on that. It's very strange. It's very strange.
It would. So, well, let's get into that on the other side. So as we were saying, we're now into 18 months later, which, by the way, is a 45-minute section of this episode. So this 2-hour and 10-minute episode, a huge portion of it is what happens after, which I know a lot of people complain about as well. I'm not going to be that person, because I personally like season finales that do this, like, wrap up. So you kind of get to see how these people are afterwards. I personally like that. It helps me kind of lay the whole thing out in my mind. But I also understand that people would have liked it to have just ended with the Vecna death and, like, hey, they did it and they're out and it's over. And it's like,
those people are wrong.
I agree. I like this rollout. That being said, they immediately start with Rockin' Robin back on the air here. And as we were just saying, it would have been so easy to explain during the Rockin' Robin radio explanation what happened afterwards. You could have put something in there, even some like, I don't know, some subtleties of how they got out of this military situation. But it's not
because she
mentioned
just
at all
says
there.
soldiers are gone, fences and cameras are gone. It's like, well, okay,
That's it.
how? Why? Like, what?
And so she is talking. First of all, we do pan by this memorial to those who lost their lives in the Great Earthquake, which is what most people are recognizing. And you know what?
Right.
Like, I mean, it's so much easier to put that statue up and call it the Great Earthquake than trying to explain
imagine
wormhole theories. And, like,
it's this massive memorial because it's like, 30 pages of explaining what happened during that period.
It's like, if you'd like to read it, it's right here. But we have, like I said, we have Robin on the air. There's no soldiers. People are happy again. You know, people are smiling. And she's, of course, got to do all the work inside the radio station because her partner in crime ditched her. At which point we get a flash to Steve, who is now coaching the baseball team. I want to say it's the high school team, but it can't be the high school team. It's got to be a junior high team because
they look
Derek
younger.
Is behind the plate.
Yes.
Derek is playing catcher. And Derek, even 18 months later, is not in high school. So he's probably in like 5th or 6th grade at most. We then get the understanding that it's the Hawkins High class of 89 graduation day. And Robin is like playing little sound effects to congratulate her friends. And as we pan away from Robin, we are brought to Max, who is safely skateboarding, able to move all of her limbs, and just kind of zipping around doing her zoomies. And we get this moment here with Lucas and Max, where Lucas is coming down to see Max. He's in full graduation regalia. And she's like, we got like 2 hours before graduation. What are you doing? And he's like, he's just all dressed up. He's excited about it. He's happy that this is all over and that they're kind of moving on. And the two of them share a kiss, at which point Erica is saying, gag me with a spoon. And she is working on something in the garage.
Yes.
Dustin is then, like, we're flashed into Dustin's living room as he is smiling for a picture for his mom, who cannot stop crying. She's so excited for Dustin graduating, and she is just bawling, and Dustin is saying, listen, I'm not that far away, like, blah, 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 which, we're getting little snippets of understanding how far away they're going for college, if they've decided to go to college, and what they're doing with that. So it's obvious that Dustin is leaving town, but is still going to obviously be in communication. He's trying to reassure his mom of all these things as she is just crying over herself. At which point we go to the buyer's house where Jonathan is trying to roll video and fix the lights because he's got a sheet up to dampen the light. And at the same time, it's falling down, and Will is standing there for a picture with Joyce and Hopper for graduation. And they're all frustrated because Jonathan is trying to make the video look perfect, and it's not quite coming out that way. Then we get a phone call into the buyer's house. It's Karen, and she can't find Mike.
Here we go
and again. It's like, oh my God. And this is where it's not that difficult a find. Mike is then shown sitting at that memorial, looking over at the steps of the library or the town hall. I don't remember what the name of that building is.
I think it's the library.
And as he's sitting there, Hop arrives. He's like, thought you would be here. And, Mike is saying to Hopper, she'll never understand why I can't walk the stage. It'd be like a lie that I'm moving on. Like, I had a plan. And Hopper is coming to Mike with some really well thought out advice. I think he's saying, listen, it's not your fault. Elle made her choice. Now it's time for you to make yours. As far as I can see it, you got two roads. You can push people away because that's what you think you deserve. Or you can find a way to accept what happened. And it doesn't mean you have to like it, but you can accept it and live the best life you can.
Yeah.
And then he says, as a follow-up point, I've been down that first road, and it's not great.
Yeah.
And I think you know what Elle would have wanted you to do.
Yeah. This
Thoughts
was
here?
a really nice moment between Hop and Mike. I mean, to me, it's like, this is probably the advice that he has to give to himself every day that he wakes up. You know, it's like, hey, reminder to self, and like just sharing that thought with Mike, because he knows what 11 wanted. I mean, she told him, you know, and yeah, I mean, I think this is very real that he still hasn't quite come to terms with this even 18 months later. You know, like something like that is going to take a really long time, I think, to truly get past. And I just felt like this was a satisfying moment for Hopper's character as well as just between these two characters. It's like, okay, Hopper, like finally, like because we get really frustrated with his choices and his behavior a lot in this series. And so I was just glad to see Hopper in this place and actually being a good parental figure to Mike, you know.
I think they did a really good and we're going to keep talking about more and more of these as we go, but I think they did a really good job of giving the audience closure on every like strained relationship that they could do. Starting with, you know, Jonathan and Nancy and Lucas and Max and, you know, Will and Henry and 11 and Henry and, you know, you get Joyce versus Henry and you get Mike and Elle, and now we've got Hopper and Mike, and we're seeing all of them, and we're going to keep seeing it throughout this, where they do a really good job touching up and trying to say, hey, we know there was some like weird bad blood here for a little while because Mike and Hopper were clearly not okay for a while.
Yeah.
Starting in season 2. And it was nice to see them put a bow on that too.
Agreed. So then we're at the graduation and we see the kids all filing in, including Mike. He's made it. And we see Karen and Ted in the audience. They kind of do this pan over the audience where you're seeing all sorts of familiar faces. And Karen, though, she gets up and goes out to greet Mike and tell him that she's so proud of him. And so you have this nice moment between them as well. Notice Ted did not get up and greet his son. It was Karen who got up. I mean, Ted, I feel like they made a point to, no, but he didn't get up and he just kind of sat in his seat. No. We just saw that, yes, Ted's still alive. He survived his moment in the hospital. Because again,
he did give his catchphrase in a little bit. He said, language.
Oh, that's right.
That's all he said.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway,
was that when Dustin was giving his
when
speech?
Dustin's talking? Yeah.
Because then we see Dustin taking the stage to give his speech, and honestly, this whole thing, I didn't really get into, like, I didn't take specific notes on what he said. I don't know if you did, but I basically just got into it. Evolved into Eddie's speech. Like, it evolved into where he's ripping off his gown, saying, screw the school, screw conformity, screw the system, this is our year, and flipping off the principal, and Erica shooting confetti off into the air. So that's kind of, I don't know if you took any specific notes on his speech.
I can give you the front part of his speech where he talks about chaos, and the chaos in D&D being good chaos and bad chaos, and how good chaos can bring innovation, where in this situation where there was chaos around their entire high school tenure, they found new friends that they maybe shouldn't have had before. They broke down the walls and the classes, and like he found people that he shouldn't have been friends with. And this is where you're seeing those like moments, like Steve recognizing that what he's talking about is like him and Steve being friends, and all these other things. And then like I had also Eddie's finale, like the whole thing of, you know, flipping off the principal and grabbing the you know, diploma. Yeah, awesome.
It was great.
I didn't recognize that it was Eddie's thing until afterwards, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Because it had been a little bit. Right.
It had been a little bit, and on first rewatch, I forgot that was almost blow for blow what Eddie said he would do.
Yes,
and that was at the beginning. That was like the first episode of season 4 that Eddie laid that all out. And you know, props to them writing that in for Dustin.
It was awesome. And yeah, I love that. Yeah, because that was when we first met Eddie, as he gave that whole
in the cafeteria
what he would do. He's like, this is my year, guys. And that's when you realize, this guy like he's having a hard time graduating. But yeah, I also like when Dustin started to talk about D&D, you just see Hopper in the audience like, Jesus Christ. Because he's like, here he goes with the D&D again. It's like, Hopper, just accept it, okay? Like,
just be okay with it. Gosh, dang, Hopper, let's go.
Him and Murray always like made little groans when they'd bring that up. So yeah, love that. And yeah, that's when we also realized, that's what Erica was doing in the garage. She was building this contraption to shoot off confetti. But yeah, also wish we had. That's really the last that we see of Erica. We didn't really get a whole lot else from her specifically. I know that there's some.
I'm okay with that.
Thoughts on that, but
okay with that.
Yeah. Well,
listen. I'll talk about that.
We'll get into that. But Mike then had a flashback of 11 when all the noise was happening, like the confetti shooting off, and it's sort of like, I mean, these kids have sort of. They've got it all on PTSD to a certain level, right? It's like they're going to hear loud noises and just assume, like the mind flare is back, you know? But it wasn't quite that. It was more just thinking back to those final moments, I think. But you also then see the whole group running up to meet up with Dustin, which sort of brings Mike out of it.
I think what he was putting together at that moment was, you know, he was hearing the feedback off of the speakers from graduation. And that led him back to the moment where he's standing there and 11 is on the bridge and she is there in the gate, in the doorway, standing. Yet all of those like frequency jammers, those things that wouldn't allow her to use her powers, were pointed all over the place. And playing.
Yeah.
And so there's now like, wait a minute. And Mike is starting to
think about that.
Put a few pieces together.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And yes, that Eric, I did not put that together. That's the moment that he started thinking about how it's like, wait, so those frequency blockers were going off, which also then makes you wonder, how was she able to put them in the black space together at all either?
Or how was she literally able to stand? She wasn't able to stand ever during any of those things. Now maybe she was on the other side of the door, so that changes things.
Or maybe she wasn't there.
Maybe not.
We will get there. So, well, he's having this flashback. Okay, so that's what that was about. But then you also see them all running up to the stage to meet Dustin. And we have this girl, Stacy, coming over to tell Dustin.
You remember Stacy?
She was the one at the mall, right?
Well, yes, but she was also originally the one at the dance that Dustin went up to and asked to dance. And she was like, no. And Nancy saved him.
Yeah, because then she's also the girl that 11
she's also
and Max like threw the shake on or something at the mall.
They 11 exploded a milkshake in her hand.
Yeah, because this girl was a mean girl, and so it's but now she's saying that speech was badass. And then Dustin responds by making some like obscure film references, and he's like, I don't know why I just said that. Why did I just say that? But then she invites him to a party anyway, and they're all psyched on that for about a moment, but then Mike is like, you know what? Screw that. I have a better idea.
Before we get to Mike's better idea, sorry, stepped away from my mic somehow. But before we get to that better idea, we're going to go to the Roof Gang, which is what I've been terming them, which is now our moment with Steve and Robin and Jonathan and Nancy, the older gang, all kind of chilling after graduation up on top of the Squawk roof. And we're kind of getting some info about what each of these people has been doing. Obviously, Steve is a coach. And apparently, he's also teaching sex ed. And they're like, well, what? And he's like, listen, I have a strict A policy. Unless you're like a real loser, then, maybe I'll give you a B. It's a lot easier when you're on the other side of the desk. Jonathan is at NYU filming a anti-capitalist movement movie. Robin is at Smith, and Nancy has dropped out of Emerson, but she's taken a trainee position at the Boston Herald. And she said, you know what? Figured I'd try the real world. Only for Robin to come up with the idea of, you know what? Nancy Wheeler, always full of surprises. Like, you just don't know what she's going to do. You would think that she would be the one for sure to go all the way through whatever schooling she can get through. But now she, after all of her experiences, is saying, you know what? Forget that. Let's just dive into the workforce. They're all talking about how they do like their new friends, but they miss their old friends, and it's not the same, and it never will be. Yeah. Only for them to term like, well, what's in the middle? What's closest to all of us? And the answer is, well, maybe somewhere around Philadelphia. Robin has some uncle who lives in Philadelphia, and so they said, okay, we're all going to meet at Robin's weird uncle's house starting next month. And they have like a cheers at this moment to nothing keeping them apart, where regardless of it be significant others or kids or jobs or whatever, they're always going to start to try to meet back every month with each other to spend time with each other. Now,
that's ambitious.
I will say this. I think this is a great scene, because I think a lot of people after college or during college with their high school friends have this experience and then realize there's no way that they can actually make that happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can try all you want and you can have the best intentions, but making that a reality is almost impossible. Yeah. It's not real. But you know what? I felt like this scene was so real because their ambitions are not real. Like, that's not possible. And props if you are one of the people that are out there that is actually making that work. But I think most people have had this conversation with their high school friends or their college friends, and they've said, no, we're going to do this like all the time. We'll meet up. Never meet up. Never meet up. You move on.
I bet, okay. This group could be a little bit different because of the crazy stuff that they've been through together. I still give it like 3 hangouts before it fizzles out, and maybe we skip every other month. I don't know. I just feel like every once a month. That's a lot. That is a lot for not living even in the same state.
They could have said once a year, and I'd still say nah.
Oh no! Like, once a year, I would buy that. I would buy once a year. Once a month, not gonna happen. But I I appreciate this rooftop scene. The one thing that sticks out to me, Eric, is why does Nancy, like, I feel like, and this was just a thing in the 80s too, is you got to a certain age and you start dressing like you're like way older than you are. And I was going to say like middle-aged, but we're getting to be that point. And I dress more youthful than Nancy did in that scene. I'm like, Nancy, girl.
But I think it's more, I think that's more reminiscent of the 80s.
Yes.
Like, I think that was a generational scenario.
You look back on like any show or movie from the 80s.
I'm wearing a Marvel t-shirt right now.
Yeah, I have tie-dye shorts on and a t-shirt. So it's there
you go, tie-dye shorts.
It's this is.
I don't have any of those.
I'm just saying, like, it's so funny in general 80s fashion. I don't know why people are trying to look really old, but you accomplished that.
Well, but I will say this. I mean, we could do a whole thing, and maybe we will. I'll jot this down. Nancy's fashion, like, in season 1 and season 2, she looked like, bookwormy, but, young high school girl.
Always very preppy.
And yes, the conversion from that to like the perm hair fighting through everything to this look that she's got in the final sequence.
The hair is so like, intense.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like what
is happening?
Wild sequencing here with Nancy's look.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. There are some scenes I'm like, has she always looked like this? And it is weird. And I'm sure it is 80s. But she's the only one doing it.
We have to put like a scrapbook together.
Robin didn't change.
I have to put a reel together of just like Nancy's looks over the course of this show because it is.
Please do.
Shocking.
Because they're wild. And like Robin doesn't change like that. Joyce doesn't change like that. None of the other adults change like that. Nancy is whipping around like I can't even keep track of it all. There are times that there'd be a certain episode and I was like, who is that? Oh, that's Nancy.
That's Nancy.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Oh, wow. God. Hey, she was going through something. All right. Well.
Yeah, but in all that, you had the time to like go get a new perm? Like, what are we doing?
Well, also, speaking of taking lots of twists and turns and giving us a little bit of whiplash over the course of the show, we then get to this scene with Joyce and Hopper. And Eric, okay. I mean,
wait, where are they?
They're finally at freaking Enzo's. Like, for the love of God. Enzo's is probably like, yes, we kept a reservation, like, with these people. They made it.
The amount of times that they have referenced Enzo's or Robin and Vicky referenced Enzo's and we never saw it. Yes. And now, finally, Joyce and Hopper, years later, have made it to Enzo's.
Yeah, other than Hopper sitting alone ordering his Chianti.
That's true. Hopper was... Yeah. That's true. Hopper did get there by himself once, but finally we actually get a date sequence at Enzo's with somebody.
And it looks quite romantic. It's nice.
It's very nice.
They have some little band going. It's
way nice. Too nice for Hawkins, by the way.
I mean, and how is this the one place that stayed open through like all the crazy like military occupation? It's like I thought Enzo's would be the first to go. No one keeps their reservations. Like how is this happening? But yeah. Then, so we see Hopper and Joyce sitting together. Hopper's trying to order like everything nice that's on the menu. It's a special occasion. And, he's saying that Montauk is looking for a new chief of police. And Eric, this first made me recollect how that was going to be the original setting of the show. And I'm like, oh, they're bringing it full circle.
I wrote that down. I was like, there you go. Nice.
It's like, are they teeing us up for a potential...
Nice deep cut reference.
Yeah, and like a potential follow-up, like show, like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it goes there. But I think they're still trying to do something in Montauk. I don't know. But they're looking for a new chief of police, and he's saying, hey, we could start again fresh. And he said they don't have to decide anything tonight. Well, except this one thing. I do want you to make this one decision tonight. And that's when he gets down on his knee and he proposes. And it's a really sweet scene. I mean, it makes sense, I think, for him to propose here. They've been through it. They're clearly wanting to be together. I'm not seeing these two crazy kids with anyone else. So I enjoy this. It felt like a good conclusion for them as well. I didn't feel like I needed it to happen, but I'm not upset that it did either. You know, I don't know if you had any strong thoughts about this, but
we'll toss in some music references here too. Also, Hop got live music to be played and sung, and they played At Last, which is of course a very nice song for this moment. I will agree. I did not need this. I didn't need this, but if you're going to tell me that you're going to do a 45-minute rundown on all these different things and you don't give me some sort of Joyce and Hop closure, I think that's wrong. So I'm happy with this, especially since we've already seen the older kids. We're now seeing Joyce and Hop wrap it up. And now we're going to end with the final section, the kids, the gang, who we started with.
Oh, yeah, and Joyce said yes, by the way, just in case you didn't watch. So.
Oh, did we not say that? Yes, she said yes. Come on. What are we talking about?
Just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So Mike's much better idea, instead of going to the party with the girl who finally invited them to something, is to play D&D in his basement. Will's got to be ecstatic, is what I was thinking.
Just gonna say that. Will's like, finally, yes.
So they are playing this game, and essentially they run into this moment where it's almost checkmate, right? Will's got no moves. He can't do anything. Lucas has nothing. Max has got nothing. They're all like checked in. And then all of a sudden they realize they have the ability to summon a mage. So they like are flipping through their notebooks and looking through what was the incantation spell, and they all say it, and the mage comes through and saves the day and casts Sunbeam, and everybody wins, and the good guys win, and they all get gold coins, and they all live happily ever after. And all that, and then Max comes out with, listen, I thought you were like this great storyteller. Like, what are you saying? They all live happily ever after. How lame is that? And so Mike says, well, listen, happy comes in a lot of different ways. Like the Knight and the Zoomer are going to decide to retire from their adventuring and settle down. Each day, their love growing stronger for each other. And of course, we're looking at Lucas and Max, like very emotionally happy with that decision. The Bard now talking about Dustin. Masters works at the Masters Enclave, but still makes sure to take time for his occasional adventure, showing him studying at college in this big library, only for him to run out the door and find Steve waiting in a car for them to head out and do something fun. And then the sorcerer, Will the Wise, travels far and wide to the bustling city of Milwaukee, finding his own path of acceptance. Which I did find interesting because Hop had just said that they were moving to be closer to the kids. Jonathan's at NYU. Montauk is on Long Island in New York. Milwaukee is not closer. I mean, Milwaukee is no farther than Hawkins.
Yeah.
But anyway, nevertheless, let's not let that ruin the story. As Will is now shown in a bar at his place in Milwaukee, finding people who he can, have a relationship with. And as for the storyteller, well, he keeps on telling stories inspired by his friends, hoping one day that his story will spread. But the one story he cannot tell is the story of the Mage, the real story of the Mage. And that gets everyone's attention at the table. Like, what do you mean, the real story? He's like, well, she cast Sunbeam and used the last of her magic. And they're like, wait, how could she do that? She was in the room with the suppression stone, which is now referencing 11.
Yes.
Casting this final moment with all of these suppressing devices around her.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't have been able to do that. She couldn't use her abilities. And so now Mike is starting to walk through this path of alternate reality, where we also got a very rushed end with Kali and Elle, where Kali said last episode, my path always was going to end here. And that was it. And we never saw anything else. And in Mike's retelling of this moment, he says, but yours doesn't have to. Kali ends that sentence by saying, Elle, you can move on. She's had a change of heart in Mike's story because of what she saw with Hopper's speech, where she lowered the gun. The idea being she has now understood that there's more out there for Elle. So the sisters decide to cast this spell of spell of invisibility on 11. And that this vision of Elle that we saw up at the wall was merely an illusion, and it zooms in on the finger, and the finger is flickering. So you can see it is not really a solid person. Well, what happened to the Mage? Well, no one knows. But I like to imagine that she's in a beautiful land somewhere far away that has 3 waterfalls in a small town that she can live safely away from all of the other problems.
Yeah.
And we get this really emotional moment where all of the kids are saying, they're asking is this true? Is this real? And he's saying, I choose to believe that it is. And then I believe, all of them saying, I believe.
I believe, guys.
Only for then Karen to open the door and say, hey guys, the lasagna's getting cold.
Classic Karen.
And so all of the kids put their binders slowly away up on the shelf, showing all of their names on the edge of the binders. And as Mike is the last to walk up the stairs, the new crew rolls in. Holly and Derek and a few other friends run down the stairs to circle around the table. And while Mike watches that happen, he slowly walks up the stairs, shuts the door, and we get a close zoom in on the door frame for the show to finally end.
Oh, man. Yeah. That was a great
Really
ending.
great storytelling from Mike at the end there. Love it.
And we end with David Bowie's Heroes, too, at the very end to roll the credits to. But yes,
Great credits, too, by the way. They showcased artwork for very important sequences all the way through the entire series. Really cool.
In comic book style designs.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool. I don't know if that's from an actual book. Is there a comic book series to go along with this, or was it just done for the show? I don't know if you know that, but I was meant to look that up.
I don't know that, to be honest with you.
It was cool.
To me, those didn't look as much like comic book pictures. It looked more like storyboards, Like they might have had that artwork up from when they were storyboarding out the episodes.
Oh, okay.
Or had the storyboards for them and then like maybe polished them off a little better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know why. It reminded me of some like black and white, like graphic novel type style. But yes, I hear what you're saying though too. Well, either way, I mean, this final story from Mike, I love that they offered this alternate reality. And it kind of makes sense. Like I like it because I like that what was the scene that you do see, I think an additional detail to that was Callie in this version created the illusion that 11 was on the other side of the gate, but then you also, what they didn't notice was this like chain link fence behind them, or this gate to this other building opening up, but there was no one there. So it was like the real 11 was invisible, and so she was able to open up the gate, slip through, and then sneak under this like floorboard back, like I guess into the tunnels. And then escape that way.
Which, by the way, if you wanted to believe this version, if she's able to sneak herself far enough away from those things, maybe she's got enough silence there to hold Mike into the black space and not be seen. Depends on what you want to believe.
Yeah, I think the toughest part
I just love the idea that they brought it up.
Oh, I love it too. I think it's great. It works on a number of levels. It works because it's almost like it's something that you can buy as a viewer. It's something that you want to believe, but also it's just like the kids all want to believe it too. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a nice, and the whole story of 11, it just adds that, I don't know, that bit of like just folklore to the whole thing, because it's very consistent with the whole theme of the entire story of Stranger Things. So it was nice.
I saw afterwards somebody who had like AI generated this sequence where 11 is walking by herself with the 3 waterfalls with the small village, and as she's coming across, Mike steps in behind her and like puts his arm around her, and they walk towards the village, and they're like, see, that's all you had to do. Yeah. That's all we wanted. Just put him there at the village and everybody would be happy.
Yes.
But I do like the fact that they didn't. I like the idea that they left it open for you to make your own choices.
Yeah. I mean, my only issue with that is listen, Callie, girl was losing a lot of blood. She was losing a lot of blood quickly, and I'm thinking she still had to go and like defeat Vecna and like do all this other stuff, and so for all that to go down, I don't know if like maybe she like used her powers to like stop the bleeding. I don't know, but
there's question marks around a lot of different things, but I thought it was also good that they like broke away from Callie and just were like, oh, Callie died, and made it real quick.
Right.
Because it made us, the viewer, feel like, whoa, wait a minute. That was real fast.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to explain anything else about this. We're just going to move on and be like, so there is a piece of your mind that's like, oh, like maybe it's plausible like that happened. Yeah, I agree. She was losing a lot of blood, but 11's got magic powers, so you never know what she could do in that state, especially with them working together. Or maybe Callie did the whole blood thing. Like that was a vision just for Hopper.
Maybe. Right. That's another valid point. Like maybe she never even got shot. Oh.
Now we're really getting into it.
Oh man.
Listen, when you have a character that can change the way things look,
anything's on the table.
Yeah. Everything is on the table at this point. Anyway, Do you have anything else before we go into our wrap up here?
No, let's jump into
All right.
the next portion.
Let's get into some ratings. All right, everybody. Well, now we're going to jump into our IMDb rating segment of the podcast where we talk about our ratings versus your ratings as we found them on IMDb. Not to mention, we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite characters. Listen, we gave some lists of some people that we liked before. Now you've seen the entire rollout. Amanda, do you have a favorite and least favorite character for this?
Okay. So I liked what a number of people did in this finale. It was really, I really enjoyed the series finale. I'm giving it to Mike. I'm giving the favorite to Mike. I really loved how he wrapped it all up.
That's crazy.
Did you give it to Mike too?
I did too, and I don't give it to Mike often.
Me either. I was thinking about this more. I'm like, man, is it Mike really? Like, for real? Because, yeah, he's very seldom our favorite. Oftentimes, he has been our least favorite in a number of occasions. Or he just doesn't really stand out, I think, in a lot of ways. And so I've got to give it to him because I loved the emotion that he pulled out in this episode. I felt like he really was the heart of the group here, and his story at the end just got me. I mean, the emotion, and that you just close the show just looking at his face. It was good. He was great. So yeah, giving it to Mike. And you are too, man.
I'm also giving it to Mike again, like, monster performance at the end.
Yeah.
Really good. And let's take that out of it. Mike with Elle at the gate, I thought was tremendous.
God. So good.
And like going back to the previous podcast, we also have Mike having that conversation with Will on the way up the tower.
Right.
Like, that also happened in this episode. This was a long episode. Mike had a lot of great moments.
Mike with Hopper?
Including, I was just going to say the moment with Hopper at the end there. And so I am down for hooking Mike up. And I think Mike has a stretch in season 2 in which he is a dislikable, annoying character early
intentionally.
In season 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was
intentionally.
Yeah.
No, scratch that. It's season 3.
I knew what you meant. Yes, yeah, where he was being a brat.
Early in season 3,
yes.
When they're doing like the mall rats and like you got to keep the door open 3 inches and all that, and he is like actively mocking Hopper in front of his face.
Oh, that was brutal.
Really, really dislike Mike during all of that.
Yeah.
That being said, he rallies, and there is a long stretch of time where I feel like all he cares about is, does Elle like me? Can we stay together? You know, and it's like, hey, bud, we got a bigger issue here. But this last episode brings the heart. Mike is the heart, as Will has explained over and over again, and he really delivers the heart here on this last one.
Yeah.
With that, I don't think we're picking the same person here.
Okay.
As I am putting down Joyce for my least favorite character on the last episode.
Poor Joyce.
And listen, it's not because Joyce cuts the head off of Vecna. I'm not super thrilled with that. Like I said, I think I would give that job to Will.
How dare you?
Well, but I like everything that everybody else ends up with. I like the Roof Gang doing their thing. I like all the kids, Lucas, Mike, Will, Dustin, Max, all of them. I like 11, how she ends. it really comes down to which adult do I not like as much, and it's going to be Joyce. Like, I think Hopper actually came through a little bit more.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
When I think of the whole episode too, Joyce like sat on the sidelines and didn't do anything until she cut the head off of Vecna, and then also you don't see her again until the Enzo's date, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave my least favorite vote to Jonathan. I just
for shame.
Yeah, I just really could have, honestly. It was between him and Nancy for me. I'm still standing by just wishing that they had died in that episode where they're on the board or the door or whatever the heck, the table. Yeah.
Listen, the table.
Yeah.
I actively stand by that statement that they should have died there. Now that we're through it, let me just say, if they had died there, thing that you wouldn't have gotten is Jonathan being the one to save Steve, and then Jonathan and Steve having their moment.
Yeah.
Right? You also wouldn't get Jonathan stepping up while Will is coming out to be like the first one, where you kind of needed him to be there for that. So, yeah.
No,
that happened after. After.
Oh, yeah, that scene happened after. Yeah.
Yep. So you wouldn't have had that. So those two things for Jonathan were big.
They should have. They could have shuffled that around and figured
the only thing that Nancy had happen was she got to be the bait. You could have made anybody be the bait. Steve should have been the bait. Genuinely, like if you said, "Oh, one of these people is going to step up," Nancy was not the one I was thinking of. I thought Steve would be in his classic, like, I'm the leader way. Steve would have been the bait.
Yeah. I feel like they just really kept driving home the point that Nancy was the one with the gun. Like, to the point where I'm like, you know what? Hold on. I'm changing my answer. Sorry, Nancy. I really like you in a lot of these scenes, but I'm giving it to Nancy because it's almost to the point where, like, she didn't even want to give. I
can get on board with this.
She didn't even want to give Mike a gun. Like, she like gave him a flare gun. I'm like, Nancy has like 30 guns and like can't throw her brother a weapon. Like, I feel like, first of all, they should have figured that out before they were in this moment. But second of all, Nancy, girl, like, calm down. Okay. We understand you're the one with the guns. You're the one who's gonna like take point on taking shots. Apparently you're invincible. Like when she popped out of the top of the truck and is just opening fire on the military and no one gets Nancy. Like, she's just, I don't know. Maybe she had Kali's. No, but then she wouldn't have been seen. So I don't know why Kali didn't use her invisibility on the entire truck in that moment. Okay, like I'm not even gonna go there, but I did. Yeah, it's. I'm gonna go with Nancy instead of Jonathan because it was between the two of them, and she was just a lot in this finale. It was okay. There was a lot there, and I just. I
don't like. Yeah. I don't like Nancy's end. I like Jonathan's end way more, including his like rooftop going to NYU film studies stuff. I like that.
Yeah, I liked his better, and as far as and I like that Jonathan, as you pointed out, saved Steve. So I don't know how else that would have gone down. Obviously they could have had maybe Dustin save him or something, but I just like that connection between the two of them again. So.
Like, they could have had Dustin do it. It wouldn't have been as believable, I don't think. Dustin doesn't really feel like the guy to throw himself into danger.
Right.
Not that Jonathan is either.
Yeah, he's usually not the guy either. So, yeah.
But he's done it when necessary. Yeah. Okay, let's get into ratings here.
Okay.
I've looked at my like list here of ratings, and I'm threading the needle here. Easily my favorite episode of this season is Sorcerer. It's not close. It is a 9.8. That's what I gave that. Then I have The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler as an 8.7 and The Turnbow Trap as an 8.5. And I'm going to say, given the opportunity to like rewatch all these episodes, singularly on their own, I will take this one third. And so I will put this firmly as an 8.6, knowing that I am going to be high on this because I am confident. I'm confident that people did not like the finale. And I think that is fair of all finales. I don't think people like them. It's hard to end a story.
It is, but you know what? I'm going high on this one. I'm giving this a 9.5.
Oh, okay.
I really like it. I feel like it's awesome. I feel like they did a lot of really great things. I also have a lot of notes and criticisms, which I think we're going to get into more on our next podcast. But
yes.
And just questions in general, things that I'm curious what your thoughts are on there, and also just feedback from other people that I've listened to talk about this. But yeah, I love it. I feel like it was so satisfying, especially thinking about the last couple episodes. I gave, number 6, episode 6 a 7.9, episode 7 a 7.2. And this one just blew those out of the water. To me, I just thought they did a great job just wrapping everything up. And I like that they, kept with consistency. They always do the epilogue at the end of every season. So even though this one was long, I'm glad that it was, because it was the series finale. So, they gave us that extra story at the end from Mike. So it was good. I really enjoyed it. I really don't have complaints that are beyond really like surface level, things that I can't get over. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've looked it up as we're talking, and so just to put the numbers out there, I have an 8.6. You have gone with a 9.5. The IMDb crowd has gone with a 7.5.
Oh my!
Which makes it the second lowest rated episode of the season.
Wow!
I cannot disagree with that.
That's
more wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But I will say, I believe series finales in general are just bad. Not bad, lowly rated.
Yeah.
I also think that people will nitpick at a lot of different things in this finale and a lot of other series finales, and then like stand on those things and be like, see, it wasn't good because of this, that, and the other thing. And to me, the core story of everything that happened in here, I don't have a huge problem with. I'm not going to say it was my favorite episode, because I think I could have eliminated some things and added some others. I think most importantly, the previous episode, which was crushed by the fans because it was all just talking and like planning.
Yeah.
They could have done a better job, like taking some of the elements from this episode and putting it into that one.
Right.
And then having more space in this episode to have done some more things. And we can kind of talk about kind of the fallout of the entire series next week. So if you are interested in tuning in, we will certainly be touching on a lot of the fan reaction and like our own personal rankings and ratings and where we feel a lot of these characters belong and whatnot as we go forward. And not to mention some other little fun little tidbits that you'll have to tune in to find out. Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check out our social media, our Instagram, our YouTube, any other platforms we're on. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, repost, follow, do all the fun things you like to do on those social media accounts. We really appreciate all the support we've seen so far. And we would also appreciate it if you dropped a 5-star rating on our Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Subscription pages. Again, that just helps us kind of get more recognition, helps build these communities out, helps us connect with more of you out there so that we can kind of get these communities built. Again, those of you who have found us on our Patreon at We Run on Reruns, we really appreciate your support as well. And for Amanda, this is Eric. We're wrapping up Stranger Things, so next week, be ready for our wrap up episode, our full discussion on all the other things that are going on in Stranger Things for next week. And don't forget, we've also got a Friends episode coming up, so tune in for that as well. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.